We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you love everything in college football, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this Rebel Outpost, the home for the college football sickos. With a donation, help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Just hit that $ where you make a comment, and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome in, everybody, into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. It's not easy. It's a struggle. I gotta admit, it's not easy. It's not easy to wake up day after day, month after month, year after year, be reelected mayor by a landslide every election, to be the reelected mayor of Loserville City. Now, I understand somebody has to do the job. I understand somebody has got to be at the very bottom of college football. And of sports. I get some fan base out there has to be at the very, very, very bottom. So all the rest of you don't have to be at the very bottom. But for that particular individual who is at the bottom, woe is me. Woe is the weight. Woe is the struggle. Woe is the disappointment. I mean, Golden Gophers, do we even belong? And I'm not talking about belonging in the Big Ten. Do we even belong anywhere? This is a national college football YouTube channel. Only once in a while do I throw around my Golden Gopher propaganda when I'm feeling a little bit delusional. And thank God none of you take it seriously, because you shouldn't, for God's sakes. And I'm not supposed to talk about Golden Gopher football on a national college football show because we are not relevant. It doesn't matter what we do. But I am a Golden Gopher. I will be to the day I die, which could be later this afternoon. The way the heart is racing. The clogged arteries. The fat guy from Minnesota having to get up this morning once again, being absolutely humiliated. Not defeated, not crushed. Humiliated by the neighbors of the South. If this was a one-time deal, okay, fine. If this was a two-time deal, okay, fine. If this was a 5 out of 6 game stretch, all right, okay, they own us. But it's way bigger than that. We have been the Golden Gophers. Again, I'm only going to take a couple of minutes, and then we're not talking Golden Gopher football for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week, for the rest of the month, which is this week. The Golden Gopher football program this year played brutal against Buffalo, brutal against Rutgers, brutal against Purdue, brutal against the Buckeyes, brutal against the Hawkeyes, and then they played the worst Division I team in all of football. That game doesn't count. So out of the 7 games that the Gophers have played a team with a pulse, 6 of them, they've been run out of the gym. They're not even competing. It's not even a competition. They got bullied by Rutgers. They got bullied by Purdue, for God's sakes. Iowa did not even work up a sweat. Iowa, at the beginning of the game, were laughing at us. Nebraska, Nebraska has their own psychological issues. But every team that we played with the pulse that doesn't have a psychological issue, my God, it is, and it ain't, I have never, ever seen the Gopher fan base this distraught. Never. And I'm 57 years old. We've had a lot worse teams than this. We've been at the very bottom of football. This is the most distraught I've ever seen it. It's not even close. It is. Look, I said during the offseason, and I promise I'll get off the Gophers in a moment because none of you care. None of you absolutely care, and nor should you care. This is not a Golden Gopher football channel. But I got to get this off my... Somebody has to say it. Somebody has to say it. I'm honest with your teams. I try to be honest with everybody. I rip on everything and everybody. That's why this is the most unpopular national college football YouTube channel in the country. So I got to be honest about the Golden Gophers. If I'm not honest, then what the hell am I? What are we doing here? I said during the offseason that the Gophers had about 8 dudes, and then 9 through 105, we are in trouble. That was my honest take on it. And not just mine. Other people that follow the program write about the 9 through 105, the Gophers were in deep trouble. That has been all accurate. That has been absolutely accurate. But the dudes, the top 8 players of the Gophers, two of them have showed up. Maybe 3. We'll give you 3. Darius Taylor, 1 carry yesterday, doesn't play anymore. After running for 100 and whatever yards against once again, the hamstrings. 3 years of hamstrings. All right. Well, I guess what? The Minnesota Golden Gophers does not have the NIL that the rest of the programs do. We have some, so we give it to our dudes, and the dudes don't play. So Darius Taylor, I love you. You are the beast, but we can't give you the money next year because you don't play. You've got hamstring pulls for 3 straight years. When you do play, the Gophers, but when you don't, and you never hardly do, we can't give you we cannot give you the NIL money. PJ Fleck, we don't have a general manager. Mark Coyle, whatever, you cannot. Darius Taylor, if he comes back next year, he can't be RB1. He can't get RB1 money. No way, no how. It ain't happening. Coy Perich, the freshman All-American safety. I mean, I'm trying to hold back. I'm trying to be nice. But then again, these guys are getting paid, I don't know, Coy Perich, the most money than any Gopher football player. Coy Perich, I've never seen a guy regress like this. Never have seen a guy regress like this. I've never seen under PJ Fleck the combination of offense and defensive line. That is this poor. This is an unbelievably talentless team we got at Minnesota. We have missed. We finally have missed in the recruitment. We have a low margin of error because our recruiting classes can't measure up to hardly anybody. We finally have missed, and boy, do you see it on the football field. And the transfer portal has been a wreck. This Gopher team is the worst 5-3 Gopher. This is the worst 5-3 team in the country. It ain't close. This team should be 3-5. With a struggling victory over Buffalo, a victory over Northwestern State, which is not really a football team, and then Nebraska, who's got psychological issues every time they see Minnesota. That's it. We've been blowing out every other game. Every other game we have been shredded. Every moment, almost every moment of every other game, we have been shredded. This is a very difficult moment for Minnesota football because next year we could very well drop off the map. That is my Golden Gopher talk of today. I'm going to guarantee you something. I'm going to guarantee you something right now. There is no way on God's green earth is the fat guy from Minnesota going to be picking the Minnesota Golden Gophers to finish better than 16th place next year. Book it. 16, 17, or 18. It depends on what Purdue does in the portal. It depends on what Purdue does in the portal. Not only that,
I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way.
loser.
You're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away. As you fade away.
Nowhere in the gold.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby I have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe you could be the change I need today.
Do you want me to go through these games individually? I really don't want to do it. I'm in a very bad mood today. Very bad mood on a Sunday, October 26th. I'll go ahead and do it. I'll go ahead and do it because some people out there are going to say Greg has cheated. Greg is really worse than he truly is. Northwestern and Nebraska. I took Northwestern. You all took Northwestern. We both got this correct. And if Northwestern had a quarterback, Nebraska probably would have lost this game. We did a watch party. Northwestern and Nebraska and Illinois. And thanks for everybody who joined us on the watch party yesterday. We had a lot of fun. Nebraska wins, but they only win by 7. So PATC Einsteins and myself got this right. And again, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. I mean, when are you going to beat the Wildcats? Just a question. Just a question that I have. I mean, my God, the Gophers are completely owned by the Hawkeyes. But Jayhawks, come on. You know what? Somebody has to write a paper. Somebody has to do a psychological paper study on what happens when a team gets boat raced year after year after year after year by their rivalry. Are the negative vibes so thick in Lawrence that you can't overcome it and you're going to lose to the Wildcats? John Grove, 17 straight should be given at this point. So I got it wrong. You guys got it wrong. UCLA, Indiana. Indiana is just a machine. They're an absolute machine. The coordinators, everything they're doing is correct. Nobody's out of place in the secondary. They have no broken coverages. They don't have any pre-snap penalties. Forget it. Mendoza's great. Hemby's the right running back. D'Angelo Pons, Kamara. They've got Aiden, the linebacker. They've got all this talent, but they don't do anything wrong. Yeah, they make a big play. They make a big play, but they don't do anything wrong. I mean, what are they doing in practice? They're actually paying attention. They're actually focused. The Hoosiers don't do anything wrong. Why? Why doesn't the Hoosiers do anything wrong? They don't fumble the ball. They don't have a bad snap. They don't have a bad handoff. They don't even get DPI. They're not even holding on defense. Indiana crushes the Bruins. I got it right. You guys got it wrong. I think it's about time that PATC Einsteins get on the Hoosiers bandwagon. I think it's about time you all become believers. Minnesota at Iowa. I got it wrong. You morons got it wrong because you followed the words of the mayor of Louisville City. Shame on you guys for taking the beloved Golden Gophers. Virginia, North Carolina. I can't believe I took Virginia in this game. I had North Carolina all week. And I switched to Virginia at the very end. I got Virginia, you had Virginia. We both got it wrong. I cannot believe I took Virginia in this game. And thank you for Preston from Greensboro, who gave me a generous donation here. If North Carolina would have won that game, I would have sang the fight song of the North Carolina Tar Heels, but they lost. Why that guy did not stretch out for the cone? It looks like in that overtime, whatever. It doesn't matter. Virginia wins in overtime, remains at the top of the ACC, but they did not cover. Ole Miss, Oklahoma. I took Ole Miss. You all took Ole Miss. We'll go over that game a little bit later. And what does that mean for the Rebels? Texas A&M, LSU. We're going to go over this game. Fire Brian Kelly chants ring out over Baton Rouge. I listened to a couple of LSU podcasts late last night, early this morning. I was doing some errands. Holy smokes. Wow. I don't know what LSU is going to do. I really don't know. I don't know what LSU... They owe Brian Kelly over $50 million. I don't know what they're going to do. But you can see it's not working. I have given LSU every chance this year. I kept thinking they were going to get better. They were going to get better. You are allowed to get better during the season. Just look at Texas A&M. But LSU never got better. Never got better. Never. In fact, they've regressed. Texas A&M crushes the LSU Tigers at Death Valley. I got this one right. You got this one right. We both took Texas A&M. BYU, we both took BYU. The Cyclones hang in there. The Cyclones are tough. But BYU, you know what I'm going to say about BYU? Yeah, they've got Chase Roberts. They've got a lot of good football players on that team. LJ Martin, really good defense. But they've also got Superman. Superman who wears number 47. And I don't see no kryptonite anywhere. Anywhere. I do not see the kryptonite. You let me know where that is. Missouri Vanderbilt, I got this one wrong. You got it right. Bo Pibula, the starting quarterback of Missouri, gets stretchered out. Oh, man. Tough injury. Tough situation for Missouri. When that happened, they did not have much of a chance. Vanderbilt. Are the Vanderbilt Commodores, are they college football playoff bound? We are going to be going through an ESPN Heather Dinich college football playoff projections here in a little bit in this monologue of this aftermath show of week 9. Very interesting. Is Vanderbilt, are they going to make the college football playoffs? Wow. South Florida and Memphis. My gosh. Not only did the Bulls not cover, but they got beat. And now it is wide open in the American. And as we're looking in the American, as we're trying to figure out what's going to happen in the American, you've got James Madison sitting over there with Bob Chesney in the Sun Belt. James Madison is climbing up in contention. Illinois, Washington, I had Illinois, you guys had Illinois, we both got it wrong. Washington wins. And so I went 5-6. You all went 5-6. So Greg the Cooler for the second week in a row. My record is 62-59 overall. And your guys' record is 58-63. I'm 62-59. You all are 58-63. Those are the results of the last week picks. Thank God that is over with. The AP Top 25. I said it earlier on my X account. I really don't see a problem with this. I think this is good. I think this is fine. Maybe Iowa should be number 25 or 24, or I can see that. But I think basically this is pretty good. Nice to see the Houston Cougars at number 22. We've been saying at the beginning of the season, the Houston Cougars, first of all, I've always liked Connor Wegman, but the Houston Cougars defense is legit. They are legit. I do think they are a step down from Utah, who's at 24. I think they're a little step down, of course, from BYU. But guys, Willie Fritz, congratulations, and I feel very bad about Houston, the football program, losing their strength and conditioning coach, who just passed away. I think he passed away yesterday morning before the game, somewhere around there. It was expected. So prayers up to the Houston Cougars, to the loved ones of the strength and conditioning coach. So the Cougars were playing with heavy hearts in that game. We'll go over that game in a moment. But Houston at 22, I got no problem with that. Cincinnati at 17. Of course, the Bearcats, you can make a very good argument that the Bearcats should be where Virginia is. Brennan Sorsby is 19 touchdowns, 1 interception. having a glorious year for the Bearcats. Yeah, so I don't see any problem with this top 25. Miami and BYU had the same amount of votes. That's why they're tied for 10. Vanderbilt at 9. Georgia Tech at 8. I don't see any problem with this top 25. Let me know if you see something egregious, something that you don't think works in that top 25. Helmer Hennison, thank you for the super chat. I very much appreciate it. Did your TV survive intact? The Iowa-Minnesota clash. Yes, it did. Thank you for the $2 holla, Mr. Hennison. Yes, it did. I watched a lot of the Alabama South Carolina game. A lot of that game. Minnesota is owned by the Hawkeyes. Hawkeyes can do whatever they want at any time, any year. And the beginning of that game basically was just like the beginning of the Rutgers game, the Purdue game, Buffalo game, Ohio. Like, Minnesota gets crushed at the beginning of the game. And if they're playing against a team that doesn't know what they're doing, then maybe the Gophers can get back into it. But the Iowa Hawkeyes they're not like that. So they were gonna, the Iowa Hawkeyes offensive line, okay, that's an offensive line, baby. That is an offensive line. And now that Gronowski is starting to feel it, he's recovered from his injury. Hawkeyes are going to be a tough out the rest of the year. Who knows? They got a shot at the college football. They still have a shot at the college football playoffs. The TV is intact because it was such a demolishing that, yeah, the TV is okay. I might not be okay. Thank you for the $2 holler, Hemmer Hennison. John Till, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. I'm polling for prime Deion Sanders because his success will have impact on coaches behind him. It's time to sign 20 kids out of high school and build within. Transfer portal is for spot work, not the full roster. I agree with John Till. The portal is for spot work and not for the full roster. And I am rooting for prime. The Colorado Buffaloes got demolished against the Utah Utes. Absolutely demolished. But I'm rooting for prime when it comes to his health. Be a head coach, basically the CEO of your football program. It's a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of energy. And I hope Deion Sanders has all of that, energy to do the job. If not, I want him to live a long, long life, happy life. So I am polling for prime as well. Thank you for the $10 holler, John Till. I very much appreciate it. Oh boy, we got a Hoosier in the house. We got an Indiana Hoosier in the house. Ricky Tungate, $5 holla. We had a Hoosier party, and I was going to listen to your PATC watch party. No need after I go home. Well, Ricky, we did. It was a Hoosier watch party. But then halfway through the second half, we had to switch out the primary game, which was the Indiana Hoosiers, and we had to put the Nebraska Northwestern game as the primary game because it got the Indiana UCLA game got out of hand early. Like I said earlier in the program here, people talk a lot about what Indiana does right. and they should. I talk about a lot about what Indiana doesn't do wrong. They don't do things wrong. You know what I think? I got a theory. I've got a theory, Ricky. Just a theory. I don't know diddly squat. Just a theory. I think some of these head coaches, and I think Kirk Cinetti is one of them, which they have figured out a certain ingredient when they are building their roster. And again, Kirk Cinetti built his roster incredibly quick, right? The portals, the guys from James Madison, but then he's added on to it. I think Kirk Cinetti, just a theory of mine, obviously he looks, when he evaluates his talent, when he's building his roster, he looks at the talent. He looks like if it's a good match. But then I think Kirk Cinetti looks at football intelligence. Does this dude, is he intelligent? And I'm not talking about being a rocket scientist. I'm talking about, does he have football intelligence? Does he have self-awareness? Is he focused when he's playing? Does he know not to jump offside? If you are a defensive lineman, you know you got to watch the ball. If you are an offensive lineman, are you listening to the count? Do you know what's going on? If you're a wide receiver, do you know when you become the hot route, the hot receiver? Do you understand picking up the blitz if you are a third down running back? Like, Indiana knows what they're doing. And it's got, at some point, it can't be just like the coaches are so much better than everybody else. The football players have got to be able to absorb that and to do it consistently. Discipline. Football intelligence. That's my theory. That's my theory. You see it with BYU. Kalani Sitake. BYU never does. They're not screwing up on the sideline. BYU coaching staff doesn't have to mess with all this other stuff that's going on. They don't have to sit there and count. They know there's not 12 guys out in the football field. Like what happened with South Carolina yesterday. It's just... Anyways, congratulations on the victory. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Again, it's just one of my theories that probably is incorrect. Super chat from John Till. Coach O said he wants back, even as a position coach. Maybe Houston can get him on the D-line and strength and conditioning and also recruiting. That's a hit. Maybe. I do think Coach O, I think there's a chance for him to be a head coach somewhere. But maybe. Good thought. Creative thought on that, John Till. Thank you for the $5 holler. I appreciate it very much. Appreciate it very much indeed. We've got a super chat. Thank you, John Till. Ryan Willie. So no Axe watch party. So no Wisconsin versus Minnesota watch party. How can I best answer that? In which way can I describe? How can I best answer that? Ryan, Willie, and everybody else in the PATC family, I'd rather shimmy 10 toothpicks up my fingernails than do the Wisconsin-Minnesota Axe watch party this November. I'd rather shimmy 10 toothpicks up my 10 fingernails. Hopefully that answers your question, Ryan Willie. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, let's go through. Let's do a roll call here. Expedition Greg is in the house. Don Scruggs is here. Thanks for coming on in. John Grove, thank you. Ken Lestrom, this BYU. Tumasta is in the house. Son of Sarek is in the house. That is my Golden Gopher talk for the day as the asteroid is heading your way. Again, that Atlas, that 3-eye Atlas, the third interstellar comet that has come through our solar system. If you got, look, I'm not gonna go off the deep end. I have no idea what it is. It's most probably a rock that is built with, it's not like any other rock that has come through here. And maybe that's because it came from deep, 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 deep interstellar space. But it's nothing like we've ever seen. There is at least 8 different anomalies with the rock, if it's a rock. There's at least 8 of them. One of them being that this thing has come in on our solar system plane. Like we are like like our solar system, our sun and the planets that go around our sun, it's on a certain plane, right? This rock is coming right basically on our plane. Somebody has described it as you taking a paper airplane thrown out of a top office window. It goes outside, across the street and into a mailbox that you were aiming for. And somebody opened up the mailbox just at the right time. The chances of this rock coming in on our plane perfectly, and then this rock is coming in right at the right time where it's behind the sun when it's most near us, and the size is an anomaly. The nickel being produced, we're picking up nickel without iron. The speed, it has I don't know, guys. I don't know what to say, but we are going to learn a lot. October 29th, which is 3 days from now, October 29th, it's going to be directly behind the sun. There are even some astrophysicists who are debating that maybe, just maybe, this rock is so big, if it's a rock, that maybe this rock is gonna end up being permanent. Like it might float around the sun as a permanent orbit. It might have its own orbit. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. And they're not showing the latest pictures. I know there's a government shutdown, but the world is not showing the pictures. Nobody's showing pictures of this thing. Amateur astrologers are. It is the most unusual rock that we have ever seen, us humans, ever recorded. Don Scruggs, Drake says Nebraska's a mental illness. Charlie Atwood is in the house. Thanks for coming on in. GB, thanks for coming on in. Anthony Carlson, what is the line of the Michigan State-Minnesota game? I think it's 4.5 or something. Look, if the Spartans are serious, if they come into the game serious, if you don't completely screw it up, you're going to win the game, Anthony Carlson. If Michigan State comes into the game, and if they are serious about winning the football game, they're going to win the football game. The Almighty Finn is in the house. The Almighty Finn is in the house. Ryan Willie is here. Bill G, Missouri's down to the third string quarterback. I know. Tough. Adam is in the house. Casey Morale is here. I think if Iowa beats Oregon, they get in the top 25. It could happen. Skoo is in the house. Hoosiers are here. Skoo is here. The Village Idiot. Didn't Minnesota have 12 yards of total offense? I don't know. Maybe. Possibly. I don't know. We can take a look. We can take a look. We can take a look. I'm not talking about it anymore, though. MBM is in the house. RT is here. Okay, guys. Let's, again, top 25 came out. Buckeyes number 1, Indiana number 2, Texas A&M number 3, and they deserve it. Alabama just gets by South Carolina. I want to talk about that game. Georgia number 5, Oregon 6, Ole Miss 7, Georgia Tech 8, Vanderbilt 9, Miami 10, BYU 10 as well. Notre Dame Fighting Irish number 12, the Red Raiders 13, and there is some Will Hammond injury news. I don't know if we've got the complete update. On that. The Volunteers at number 14. The Virginia Cavaliers at 15. Cardinals 16. The Bearcats 70. The Sooners 18. The Tigers 19. The Longhorns somehow come back and win. Arch Manning with the concussion. At least it looks like a concussion. Number 20. The Wolverines at number 21. The Houston Cougars 22. The USC Trojans, 23. The Utah Utes, 24. The Memphis Tigers, 25. There is, again, your top 25. BYU and Miami have the same amount of votes. BYU and Miami are tied at 10 each. They both have the same amount of votes. That Alabama game, let's talk about that. I don't know, guys. So, I want to get you guys' opinion on this. Let's go to the SEC first. Let's go to the Southeastern Conference first. Let's first talk about Texas A&M LSU. Again, we're going to go through the Power 4 conference games and some of the American game. Brian Kelly is in deep trouble. I don't know how. I don't know what LSU is going to do about it. The governor of LSU says LSU should not raise their ticket prices for next year. The governor of Louisiana, the governor of the state of Louisiana, I should say, not governor of LSU. The governor of Louisiana handpicks the board of governors at LSU. So when the governor of the state is saying that the ticket prices shall not go up next year because of basically the product on the field, wow, you've got issues at LSU. I don't know. Can LSU get the money? We know that Florida State, they're trying to maybe possibly get a plan to buy out Mike Norvell. Maybe they can't, maybe they can. But what about the LSU Tigers? What about Brian Kelly? They got walloped in this game. They got absolutely walloped. Marcel Reed now, 12 of 21, 202, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He didn't even have a very good game, and yet Texas A&M walked away with this victory. 224 yards of rushing, and again, the LSU Tigers' inability to run the football in a big game. The inability to run the football in a big game. That is your LSU Tigers under Brian Kelly. For whatever reason. I don't know what you guys think, but man, you know what? I think Brian Kelly's gone. Somehow, some way, LSU is going to make it work. Even if the governor has to give LSU a budget line in the state, somehow LSU is going to they got to make a move. And I know I've seen Ryan Brooks and other people, other LSU Tiger fan base talking about Lane Kiffin to LSU. I think Lane Kiffin's going to Florida, but LSU would be a great. I think that would also work. I can understand why the LSU fan base would be very, very interested in Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is going to have some suitors. Alabama 29, South Carolina 22. So here is my question that I have for you all. South Carolina was up 15-14. Okay? They were up 15-14. They scored a touchdown. It was 21-14 South Carolina in the fourth quarter. Early in the fourth quarter. I said it at the time. I yelled at the TV screen. I yelled at Shane Beamer. This is the time that South Carolina should have went for 2 points instead of kicking the extra point. If you go for 2 and you make it, you're up 9. You're up 9. That means that they 2-score game. That means that Alabama needs to score, get the ball back and score. If you miss the 2-pointer, Alabama, if they go down and score, they're just going to kick the extra point. They're not going to go for 2. They're going to tie it up. If South Carolina misses the 2-point conversion, Alabama would just score. If they score, they're just going to kick the extra point. If South Carolina kicks the extra point, which they did, then it's in Alabama. It's in more of their control. They scored touchdown, which they did. They convert to 2-pointer, which they did. My point is, if I was South Carolina, I would want more of the control. Like if I miss the 2-pointer, I don't believe the punishment is as big as the reward. You guys understand what I'm saying? At that point, I thought South Carolina should have went for 2. They hit the extra point. They're up by 8. Alabama scores. They got the 2-point conversion. And then it was 22-22. And Lenore Sellers fumbled the ball. The guy made a really good play, stripped it away from him. Alabama scored. I sigh every time I hear Coach Greg advise other coaches. I don't think I'm the only one on that. Am I the only one who believes that? Really? I say go for 2. When you have an opportunity to make it a 2-score game in Alabama in the fourth quarter, go for it, baby. Go for it. And if you don't make it, You have a 7-point lead? I can't be the only one who thinks that. I can't. Okay. MBM, thank you for the super chat. Mr. Cowboy. Also looks like he's Mr. Chicago Bears. Greg, I bet on the Gophers to win it all, just like you said. Now I'm homeless. I don't believe I ever said the Gophers were going to win it all. I've never said that in my lifetime. Win the Hawkeye game? Yes, I did make a big stupid speech on that. Yes, I did. I am guilty of making a big stupid speech. I got all lathered up. MBM, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the $10 holla. Thank you for your generosity very, very much. Iowa broke my spirit. Iowa has crushed they own my spirit. The Hawkeyes own my soul. Thank you, MBM. Appreciate it. Don Scruggs, I was the one who said the Golden Gophers would win it all. Yeah, I don't think I ever said they were going to win. I've never said that in my lifetime. I don't even say that about the hockey program anymore. I can't even say that about the hockey program. I am the re-elected mayor of Loserville City. No question about it. Kenneth Maynard, I appreciate the membership. 7 months. American teams are number 25, Memphis. Number 26, Navy. Number 27, Tulane. Number 30, USF. Number 34, North Texas. Wake Forest impressed, beating SMU to go to 5-2. Yeah. Yeah, and what is Kenneth Maynard? What is James Madison? Did James Madison get any votes in the AP poll? Navy, if you look at Navy's schedule, it's brutal. I very much doubt Navy goes through that. Navy is undefeated right now, but that schedule from now on in is absolutely brutal. James Madison is 33. Thank you, Kenneth Maynard. I appreciate it. Kenneth Maynard, you are hereby knighted, cloak and dagger. Thank you so very kind for your generosity, for being a member of the family. Thank you, Kenneth Maynard, ECU Pirate. Navy has a tough road to hoe. I guess Memphis is back in the catbird seat. We're going to go through that. Later this week, we are going to do our own projections at PATC. We're going to look at Heather Denich's projections here in a little bit, but we're going to have our own PATC projections, and we're going to go through the American pretty good. We're also going to be talking about James Madison, what they have to do. Thank you, Kenneth Maynard. I very much appreciate it so very much. Okay, let's get back to talking about these football games. Talking about these football games in the SEC. Alabama, then they pull it out. That's we're talking about it. Ole Miss 34, Oklahoma 26. Lane Kiffin, a brilliant job of coaching this year. Trinidad Chambliss was not supposed to be his quarterback this year. 24 of 44 in high pressure situations. This game in Norman, they ran the ball 41 times for only 116 yards. Wow. Oklahoma, John Mateer, again, he's not, you can tell, this is not the same John Mateer at the beginning of the year. I don't know if it's his injury in his hand or what it is, but it is not the same John Mateer, unfortunately, for the Oklahoma Sooners. And then, of course, we got one of the biggest stories. Vanderbilt goes 3-1 in the SEC, defeats Missouri 17-10. Bo Pribula gets carted out on a stretcher. Vanderbilt wins a big battle. Vanderbilt, are they college football playoff bound? Again, we're going to go through a Heather Dinich article, and she talks about the Vanderbilt Commodores. Tennessee 56, Kentucky 34. It's quite obvious what Tennessee has and what they don't have. Again, under Josh Heupel, the Volunteers have a very explosive, efficient offense. But their defense, it's not there. It's definitely not there. I don't think Tennessee's going to make it. I don't think Tennessee's going to be Vanderbilt at the end of the season. Texas 45, Mississippi State 38. Arch Manning now has a concussion. Well, we believe it's a concussion. I don't know that for sure. Matthew Caldwell is going to probably have to be the quarterback, at least for the next game. Okay. I think that's it for the SEC, right? Auburn 33, Arkansas 24. Let's quickly go through the ACC. Georgia Tech 8-0, 5-0 in the conference, number 7 in the country at the top of the ACC, along with Virginia, 41-16. Miami, they start off slow. They end up hot, 42-7 over Stanford, number 9 in the country. Virginia, 7-1, 4-0 in the ACC. They go 3-0 in overtime games this year. They defeat North Carolina 17-16. Louisville 38. Boston College 24. Louisville is 3-1 in the ACC. SMU finally loses an ACC conference game. They lose it to Wake Forest on a walk-off field goal. The Demon Deacons win by a point. Pittsburgh is now rolling. 6-2 overall. 4-1 in the ACC. My goodness, the Panthers are not going away. 53-34 over North Carolina State. The Panthers are definitely not going away. Not under their freshman quarterback, Mason Heinschel. Big 12 football. Again, Superman, BYU 41-27 over Iowa State. BYU 8-0, 5-0 in the Big 12. They're going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough out in the Big 12 race. They're going to be a tough out in the Big 12 championship game. They are going to be a tough out in the college football playoffs. The BYU Cougars are for real. Texas Tech 42, Oklahoma State 0. The only thing we're looking at when it comes to Stillwater is who is going to be their new head coach. The Red Raiders, that matchup with the BYU Cougars. Buckle up, brace for impact. Cincinnati, don't forget about Cincinnati. Don't forget about Cincinnati. 41-20 over Baylor. 5-0 in the Big 12. The Bearcats are undefeated. As we said earlier, Brendan Sorsby, 19 touchdowns, 1 interception. Houston 24, Arizona 16. 24-16. Congratulations to Willie Fritz. Unbelievable job at Houston. Houston, the Cougar fan base. It's time to fill up that stadium next week. It's time to fill it up. 40,000 strong. Come on, Cougars. Support Willie Fritz. Kansas State 42, Kansas 17. 17 straight Sunflower Showdown wins for the Wildcats. Unbelievable. TCU 23, West Virginia 17. The Mountaineers came very close to winning a Big 12 game, but not quite get it done. The Horned Frogs go 3-2 in the Big 12. Utah 53, Colorado 7. 53-7. Not the best day for the Buffaloes. Utah. Now for the Big 10. Indiana. We did a watch party at Indiana. Again, we've talked about them. Sensational football team. Dominant. They're going to go try to win the Big 10 championship. They're going to go try to win the national. They're going to try to beat. The Hoosiers are a contender to win the whole damn thing. Indiana 56-6 over the Bruins. Oregon 21. Wisconsin 7. The Badgers put up a battle. Oregon, a lackluster performance. The quarterback got hit on the nose. Washington 42. Illinois 25. Michigan 31. Michigan State 20. Nebraska 28. Northwestern 21. Rutgers 27. Purdue 24. Iowa 41. I'm sorry, I lost that page. I can't get it back. There's a glitch. There's an absolute glitch on ESPN. I'm not being able to get it back. Okay. Ryan Willie, thank you for the $5 holler. Moen isn't going to be happy tonight. Jets beat the Bengals. Rest in peace, Nick Mangold. Yes, rest in peace, the Mangold and his 41 years old, kidney disease. Yeah, very sad news. Way too young. Prayers to Mangold and his family, his loved ones. Next time Nick's family and loved ones see Nick Mangold again, it will be forever. Buckeye Nation is heartbroken on it. No question about it. Very sad news. Again, this was, I know Nick Mangold put out a message a couple of weeks ago asking, seeing if anybody could help him with a kidney transplant. His family could not assist him on that. So I know one of his last messages was he thought he had more time. Very, very sad news. My heart, our prayers go out to his family and loved ones. Rest in peace, Nick. Rest in peace. We remember him. Big Ten country, Ohio State Buckeyes. As far as Moen goes, I don't know why he would not be happy. He's sitting there as a Buckeye fan. They're undefeated. To be a Buckeye fan is living in Dream Street, baby. I can't even imagine being a Buckeye fan, being a Wolverine fan, being a Georgia Bulldog fan, being anybody, to be honest with you. I can't imagine what it would be like. But no, I'm sitting here in a studio that sits in the middle of Loserville City, and I am the re-elected mayor over and over and over and over again. Any word on Pibula's injury? No, I do not. PJ Fleck, Western Michigan team played the Badgers very tough in that big bowl game. Very tough. PJ Fleck has never lost a bowl game. And the Gophers were probably not going to lose their bowl game this year because Gophers are probably going to finish 6-6, play some god-awful team, and the Gophers will win by field goal. Something like. But we're not talking Golden Gophers anymore. We're not going to do that anymore. Not today. Thank you for the $5 holler, Ryan Willie. But tell Moen he's got nothing to be unhappy about. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Starting center for the Buckeyes. Absolutely. Okay, so we went through the games. We went through our picks. And now I want to just quickly go over, before we get to your phone calls, and we are going to get to your phone calls, I just want to quickly go over this Henry Dinich article. I found it pretty interesting. I agree with a lot of it. Heather Dinich late last night put on an article projecting the college football playoff top 12 after week 9. So this is Heather Dinich projections, not what it would be now. And that's what we're going to do at Peek Around the Corner this week. We are going to put our own projections out there, projecting on how it's going to end up, not what it is right now. Okay? Heather Dinich. 12 people in the room, blah, blah, blah. We don't have to go through all that. Projecting the top 12. Heather Dinich has got the Buckeyes at number 1. I don't know how anybody can see it differently. Why they could be lower. Indiana keeps making statements. They do. No question about it. Need to know. The Buckeye spot at the top isn't a guarantee as the season progresses. If Alabama runs the table and wins the SEC, the selection committee would at least consider the tide for the number 1 spot. I'm sorry, Heather Dinich. That is absolutely ridiculous. Now, this is where I go off. This is, I'm sorry. This is Boulder Dash. This is Bullocks. If Alabama runs the table and they have the number 2 toughest schedule in the country and the Buckeyes at number 33, the question would be enough committee members could forgive the season opening loss to Florida State, which has looked worse every week? Come on, man. There is no way on God's green earth. If the Buckeyes run the table, if they beat Indiana in the Big Ten championship game, the Buckeyes are not going to give up their number 1 spot to Alabama. If that happens, they're going to be this studio is going to be that just cannot happen. That ain't going to happen. That is ridiculous. Absolutely. Number 2, Indiana. Their toughest game is at November 29 at Michigan. Number 2, Indiana. Of course they should be number 2. They whip up on everybody. Why they could be higher. Indiana's sheer domination of UCLA was yet another statement from the Hoosiers' relentless consistency. Toughest remaining game. Indiana is a playoff team. It shouldn't lose in November. 3 of Indiana's last 4 games are on the road, but Maryland has lost 3 straight. Penn State has lost 4 straight. Purdue has lost 6 in a row. Number 3, Alabama. That's the projection for Alabama. They run the table. They may lose 1 game. They're going to finish number 3. The Tide avoided an upset on the road against a scrappy South Carolina team. A scrappy South Carolina team. Now, I love the Gamecocks. I'm rooting for the Gamecocks. They have the worst offensive line there is. Lenore Sellers has to run for his life. This South Carolina team is not a good football team. And you can say that, Heather Dinich. ESPN, you can, again, the Tide avoids an upset on the road, but it's a scrappy South Carolina team. The Southeastern Conference, I tell you guys, they get the benefit. Every single one of these games, they get the benefit of these. It's unbelievable. Now, I'm not saying that Alabama should drop significantly. I tell you, though, guys, look, I'm going to tell you, the Buckeyes and the Hoosiers don't win by 7 at South Carolina. They win by a lot more than that. That's right, I said it. I said it. Toughest remaining game, November 13th versus Oklahoma. The Tide should be favored to win at home, but it's a week after hosting LSU. Bama has at least a 72% chance to win each of its remaining games. Texas A&M at number 4. That's the projection. So Heather Dinich is projecting Alabama to be ahead of Texas A&M, to beat Texas A&M in the Southeastern Conference Championship game. I don't know if they can beat Texas A&M. Well, we shall see. We shall see. But again, Texas A&M defeated Arkansas 45-42. 45-42. Fayetteville, Arkansas. The Buckeyes and the Hoosiers are not beating Arkansas by 3 points on the road. They're beating Arkansas by way more than that. Just my honest assessment, guys. Texas A&M, they got a chance to compete to win the Southeastern Conference Championship, and they got a chance to win the national championship. But for me, they're behind the Hoosiers and the Buckeyes. Toughest remaining game at Texas. Georgia Bulldogs. Number 5. Their projection is number 5. Why they could be lower. Lopsided wins against Marshall and Austin P aren't going to impress anyone in the committee. Kentucky and Auburn have at least 4 losses each. The Bulldogs enter the bye week number 6 on the ESPN Strength of Record metric. Toughest remaining game, Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets are currently undefeated and pushed the Bulldogs to 8 overtimes last season. This is going to be a monster, big Georgia versus Georgia Tech football game. Huge. Ole Miss is number 6 on the projections. Ole Miss 6, Georgia 5, Texas A&M 4, Alabama 3, 4 SEC teams in a row. Toughest remaining game, November 28 at Mississippi State. Ole Miss is not going to lose a game the rest of the way. That's why I'm kind of shook that they got Ole Miss at number 6. They got a lot easier track than Georgia. A lot easier track than Texas A&M, in my opinion. Number 7, I'm going to have Ole Miss higher than number 6 on our projections. Miami, number 7. Again, with that loss against Louisville. Need to know. The Canes will leave their home state for the first time all season when they travel to SMU on Saturday. Toughest remaining game, November 29 at Pitt. The Panthers have won 4 straight games. So, look, Miami, you cannot have that slow start that you had against Louisville and Stanford. You cannot have that slow start against the Panthers. Circle that November 29th game at Pittsburgh. That is a massive, massive game. Not only who decides who goes to the ACC championship game. Virginia's in the hunt, of course. Georgia Tech is in the hunt, of course. But the Pittsburgh Panthers, they're definitely not out of the hunt. And of course, Miami is not as well. Oregon, number 8. Ducks came out flat against a struggling Wisconsin team. The 10-point home loss to Indiana is the only blemish. The committee would consider that a decent loss. Well, thank you very much, Heather Dinich, for that. Thank you for that. Toughest remaining game, November 29th at Washington. The 6-2 Huskies have only lost to Ohio State and on the road to Michigan. Number 9, Vanderbilt. Projected at number 9. Why they could be here? The committee would have a difficult decision, putting the 1-loss Commodores ahead of 2 undefeated teams, but could justify it because Vanderbilt's 2 best wins are better than BYU's wins against Utah and Iowa State, and better than any of Georgia Tech wins. I tell you guys, this ESPN is something else. I think the Vanderbilt Commodores can make the playoffs. I think they can make the playoffs. Of course I think they can make the playoffs. Absolutely. But you know what? I don't want to even go down that rabbit hole. I'm going to go down the rabbit hole later this week when I do my own projections. Heather Dinich has got how many SEC teams in the playoffs? BYU Cougars, 8-0. Not going to get the benefit over Vanderbilt, however. BYU Cougars, 8-0. BYU entered Week 9 ranked number 60 on ESPN's Strength of Schedule metric, which would be a significant drawback in the committee meeting room, but it's ahead of Georgia Tech. Again, it's all about the strength of schedule metric, which is basically a self-fulfilling prophecy because of the very early preseason rankings. This is an unbelievable, this is a shell game, guys. BYU Cougars are not going to get the benefit of nothing. Nobody is, except for SEC teams. Number 11, Georgia Tech, 8-0. Again, number 72 on the ESPN Strength of Schedule metrics. Number 72, which means if Georgia Tech defeats Georgia, they're only going to help themselves so much because they're so far back behind the 8 ball. Unbelievable. Number 12, Notre Dame. That's all I can do. I cannot, I agree with some of that. But guys, ladies and gentlemen, and I know SEC people do not like when I say this. Of course the strength of schedule has to matter. But how is the strength of schedule created? It's created in large part to the early season rankings of these teams in the first place. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, I think the SEC is better than everybody else. I do. You see that in the records, in the non-conference games. But you also see that in the SEC only having 8 conference games. And that's going to change. But guys, come on. It has to be... Come on. BYU goes undefeated. And they're going to get supplanted by how many SEC teams with 1 or 2 losses? Now, BYU's still going to make the playoffs because they're undefeated. They'd be the Big 12 champion. And once again, to the Big 12 and to the ACC people out there, you've got to be for the AQ model. You cannot be for the 5+11 model. You are going to get absolutely crushed every single year. You're never going to get the benefit because you're never going to have the strength of schedule. It doesn't matter how good your football team is. You cannot make a mistake. Other SEC teams can make a mistake. You notice how this works? The Florida State loss doesn't really hurt Alabama because they got all these other games that they can win and they've won them. They've looked impressive. But when you do that with every Southeastern Conference team and then BYU, Georgia Tech, none of these other teams they don't get any credit for how they've played because of this one metric. Who you beat has more than who you lose to. Okay, who you beat. But then again, who did you beat? South Carolina is a scrappy team, right? South Carolina is a scrappy team. Oh! A 7-point win doesn't hurt, is never going to hurt an SEC team. That is, I'm not, 36-4 non-conference record, Greg. We've earned it. We've earned it. You are a Big Ten fan, Greg. A scrappy South Carolina team. You beat a Southeast by 7 points. There is no losses. In accordance to a lot of Southeastern Conference country, a loss never hurts the Southeastern Conference. Wins help the Southeastern Conference. Losses never hurt them. Never, ever hurts them. It really is unbelievable. Yeah, the teams earn it, not the conference. All right, guys, we're going to open up the phone lines. My projections are not going to look like, again, I have the Southeastern Conference before the season started as getting the most teams in. I had them as the best conference. But it's never enough. It's never enough. Like, here, look at Heather Dinish's projections. Look at this. Let's take one more look at it. It's never enough. Never enough. It's all about the strength of schedule metric, which is always going to favor the Southeastern Conference, regardless, because of how the polls are. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a mathematical. It's impossible for the Southeastern Conference not to benefit from the strength of schedule. Even if the Southeastern Conference did poorly in non-conference play, as they did last year, it did not matter. Because your conference games are so great. Because why? Because all your teams were predicted to be better than everybody else. Look at this. Heather Dinich projection. Alabama, 1. Texas A&M, 2. I agree with that. Georgia, 3. I agree with that. Ole Miss, 4. Vanderbilt, 5. Vanderbilt, 5. And even if Georgia Tech and BYU go undefeated, Vanderbilt would be the 5th SEC team ahead of BYU and Georgia Tech. It's unbelievable. It's just... Okay, hold on here. We're gonna open up the phone lines. I gotta clean something up. Hold on. I want to give my prayers out to hold on a second here. What's going on? What is going on with this? Want to give my prayers out to the people of Jamaica as that hurricane is coming down on them. Hopefully everybody makes it through. Not a good situation. Hurricane is barreling down on the island of Jamaica. I don't know if it's hit yet. I don't know. Okay, give me a second here. I don't know. I hope. I pray to God. I pray to God that if we don't get an AQ model, that we stay at 5+7. 5+7 until the day I die. This 5+11 is going to be horrific. Even with the Southeastern Conference going to 9 conference games, because it's going to be horrible. 5+7, keep it the way it is. Or go to an AQ model. So Big Ten, stick with it. I don't care how you're going to be unpopular anyways. Everyone's going to hate the Big Ten. That's fine. Stick with it. Say no, 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 no. We'll stay at 5+7 until 2030. Stick with it. 5+7. No 5+11. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Okay, we're going to open up the phone lines here. Let's open them up. 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. For those who have not subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe. Turn on the notifications. I appreciate it.
Call from
Rick?
Rick, the floor is yours.
I'm trying to get a better understanding. I'm hoping you can help me with some Big Ten logic here. The Minnesota and Indiana pretty much have the same amount of money, right?
No, Indiana's got more money.
A little bit more?
Well, they get more donations. I know that. Somebody would have to take a look at the last. Somebody would have to take a look at the last revenues. I think Indiana makes more, and of course, and they got much bigger NIL than Minnesota.
Okay, because they paid $15 million to buy out Tom Allen.
Yeah, and they just got Kirk Cinetti with the 11 plus million a season. Yeah, I mean Indiana. Yeah, they got Indiana has more money. Basketball program, yeah.
But they knew they were going to do that before they did it. That didn't. Mm-hmm. They had made that decision earlier on. I'm trying to figure out what the deal is with the Fleck. And I don't understand Minnesota's logic.
In what? With PJ Fleck or?
Well, yeah, every year. Well, I understand why they got him. Mm-hmm. At the time that they acquired him from Michigan, what was it, Western or Eastern or?
Western Michigan, yep.
Western Michigan, the program was down.
First of all, PJ Fleck, I think his Big Ten record is about 500, which is the best record for a Minnesota Golden Gopher football coach since Bierman in the 1960s. Minnesota has the worst recruiting grounds when it comes to football in all of Power 4. If you're the head football coach in Minnesota, you are at disadvantage in every possible way. We are very fortunate that the state came in and built the stadium. We owe, the university owes lots of money on that stadium, but the stadium was built, an athletic village was built, good facilities, but when it comes to basically everything else, Minnesota's at a big advantage. Fleck has done a good job at Minnesota. There's just no question about it. He just has. Anybody compared to Kirk Cinetti is going to fail greatly.
I totally agree. Signetti is a 1 in 1,000 long shot. But the Hoosiers did have the courage to get rid of Allen, buy him out, and take a chance on someone.
Yeah.
Because they wanted more.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to understand, is Minnesota satisfied with Fleck. Are you?
Well, he has been better than every other Big Ten coach we've had in my lifetime.
That wasn't the question. Are you satisfied?
But it's part of the answer. It is. Okay, for example, I'll just give you an example. You Google anybody in the chat room. Google this. Google it. The Gophers have the smallest, have the least. Our coaching salary pool is less than the other 17 Big Ten schools. We don't have the money. We have, I think we have the least contributions than everybody else does when it comes to the athletic department. A lot of our money goes into our hockey program, in our other Olympic sports. We just don't have. We have to spend more money on recruiting in football. So people, go ahead and Google that. We spend more money on recruiting because we have to do it nationally because we have a couple football plays a year in Minnesota, and that's it. So, the Minnesota Golden Gophers have been a lot better than Nebraska since PJ Fleck has been here, and yet Nebraska outspends Minnesota every single year. We get housed. We get owned by Iowa. We were getting owned by Wisconsin. Now we're not anymore. We're much better with PJ Fleck than we've ever been before in my lifetime. How do we make it to the next level? I think it would take a miracle. It is frustrating. We lose big time to Iowa, but Iowa's got a lot more money, a lot more football money than we have. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. I will defend Fleck in that. Okay, if the Gophers got rid of Fleck, which they're not going to, there is a way more higher chance than the program falls off the table than we have going to the next level. The odds are way against us. So there it is. And by the way, when Indiana got rid of Tom Allen, the Gophers were winning way more games than Indiana. There was a reason Indiana got rid of Tom Allen.
Well, yeah, but Indiana was playing in the eastern side against
but
Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State every year.
Minnesota was much better than Indiana. In fact, since 2017, 2018, Minnesota has the sixth best Big Ten record out of the 14 teams. We were better than Michigan State. Now, we play them next week, but we have hammered Michigan State the last 2 years. Last 2 or 3 times we played them, Michigan State has a lot more money than Minnesota. Minnesota has been punching above its weight class with PJ Fleck. So to get rid of him is quite the. I think it would be an incredibly stupid move. I anticipate PJ Fleck. I've anticipated this for years, that he wants to go someplace that gives him more resources. PJ Fleck is not looked as a failure in national football. No way, no how. I think you've got the wrong perception of PJ Fleck. There is hardly any coach that could be the head coach of Minnesota and have that type of record at Minnesota. Because everybody we play in the Big Ten has more money, has a better recruiting ground than Minnesota. Every single week. That's what you're up against every single week. It's kind of like Vanderbilt, to be perfectly honest with you. Go ahead. We just disagree, but that's okay.
No, I'm trying to understand, and you're helping me understand. So Vanderbilt would be an example of a type of school that would seek out PJ Fleck.
Well, no, I didn't say that. I said Minnesota.
Well, name some schools that would be interested in taking Fleck away from him.
Well, UCLA was interested last year. They would have taken PJ Fleck, as we reported live here. but they just did not have enough money. I think Virginia Tech would be interested in PJ Fleck. There has been interest in PJ Fleck. He just hasn't pulled the trigger on it.
Because he wants to move up, not across.
Yeah, he wants more resources. It's every coach is sitting there going, if I just had a little bit more resources, a little bit better recruiting ground. Lane Kiffin is going through that right now, I'm sure. No matter what level you're at, you're a coach, you're a competitor, you want more resources. Minnesota is at the bottom of resources in the Big Ten when it comes to football.
Would Auburn consider him?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. But I'm just saying PJ Fleck is high. Now, look, we're coming off. This is a really bad year for Minnesota. It is, guys. And I said we're 5-3. We're really 3-5. We're a bad football team this year. Maybe it gets worse next year. But overall, PJ Fleck has out-coached more Big Ten coaches than he's been out-coached.
Well, you said it. You're going to a bowl game this year, and you're going to win it. I mean,
probably.
Yeah, I mean,
he has out-coached more Big Ten coaches.
You're not going to lose to Northwestern. You're not going to lose to Wisconsin.
This Gopher team can lose to anybody. I mean, they got completely demolished by Purdue. Absolutely crushed. And that was the thing. I mean, 99.99% of the college football world did not see the Purdue-Minnesota game. I unfortunately watched it. The Gophers got hammered. The Gophers got hammered by Rutgers. Hammered. I mean, they just got obliterated. And Purdue and Rutgers said, oh, wait a second. We might win this game. Let's give it to Minnesota. That's basically what happened. Minnesota has been hammered every single week except for by Nebraska because they have huge psychological issues when they play Minnesota.
And you're going to give Fleck an extension on his contract?
Probably.
It doesn't make sense.
All right. Okay. Well, you haven't been around, Rick. You haven't been a Gopher fan. The Gophers in the 70s, the Gophers in the 80s, the Gophers in the 90s. The Gophers are the Washington Generals in Big Ten football. And Indiana was with us, and they got Kirk Cignetti. But, you can't. PJ Fleck was a lot better coach than Tom Allen, so you're not going to take that chance.
Maybe if Tom Allen were the coach at Minnesota all those years and played those games, and PJ Fleck played all the games that Tom Allen had to play against all those teams.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know.
I mean,
okay.
Got it. It's much more than that. That's not the difference between Indiana and Minnesota before Kirk Cignetti got there. Just take a look at the records. You can take out include the crossover games. I mean, look at the non-conference records. Not even close.
Okay, thanks.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Great call. Lost to Ryan Willie. And again, Minnesota had lost to Wisconsin. How many times in a row before PJ Fleck got there? 15 straight times, something like that. And Minnesota has done pretty good against Wisconsin lately.
Call from.
How many times in a row?
Field Major.
Ryan Willie, can you hold on for a moment, please?
Yes.
I appreciate it. Stephen McNeely, what is Minnesota doing with all that Big Ten money? Paying bills. Paying bills. They got the most beautiful hockey arena in the country. They're paying bills. They sponsor a lot of sports, Stephen McNeely. A lot of sports. Go ahead, Ryan Willie. Appreciate the call. The floor is yours.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for taking my call.
Wait a second. Stephen McNeely. So why can't Minnesota compete with the Big 12 and ACC? They can,
Hello?
Stephen. Hold on, Ryan Willie. Stephen McNeely, Minnesota can compete with Big 12 ACC schools. They've often beat those schools. Now, they did lose in North Carolina, but before that, PJ Fleck has a great record against those type of schools. They beat Georgia Tech in a bowl game. They beat West Virginia in a bowl game. They beat Colorado a couple straight times. They usually mop up on Big 12 ACC schools. So they do compete, Stephen McNeely. Very well, in fact. You try competing against the Buckeyes, Michigan, and those type of teams. That's what a lot of Big 12 and ACC fan bases don't understand. When the Big 12 teams are playing against each other, the resources are sort of the same, not quite. Some have more. The Big 10, the top Big 10 teams blow you away with recruiting and resources and all, and they're always going to. Big difference. Big difference. Go ahead, Ryan Willie. The floor is yours.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for taking my call. What I'm calling in about is the situation with Wisconsin as of right now. Last night, during the broadcast of the game, Tim Brando was saying that the people that have podcasts don't know what they're talking about with the Wisconsin program. One of the former Badgers who worked for ESPN in Wisconsin has stated this past week that the high school coaches in the state of Wisconsin do not have a relationship with Fickle's staff. And so I would actually believe the former Badger that has had contact with the coaches than some hearsay from a has-been announcer who did foghorn leghorn impressions during broadcast last night. I think it's a bleeping joke. The fact is, Fickle even said that he has not been told that he's back next year.
Oh. Okay.
The decision has not been made yet. It's leaning towards him staying because of the vote of confidence BS. But according to Fickle, he has not been told that he's back next year. And there are players that are not playing now because they don't want to give up the red shirt year, and they're planning on leaving after this year. The only players that are playing right now are the ones that actually want to play, and that's basically it. Heck, they're probably not even gonna play Curtis Smith because they think that he's gonna transfer to another school.
Yeah. He probably is.
And it's just a disaster around Madison. And like I said before, I would like to see Wisconsin go after Leipold.
Yeah, that would be fun to watch if that happened for Badger fans.
But to criticize podcasters for giving their opinion on what's going on, especially with the former Badger player. Granted, he was a punter, but still. And he's in the media now, and there's ways for the coaches to contact him.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tim Brando should retire because he doesn't know bleep about what's going on Madison.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I had for you. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it. Stephen McNeely, if Minnesota moved to the Big 12 or the ACC with the same money they have now, they wouldn't win either conference. I mean, Miami has not won the ACC. It's hard to win a conference. And
Call from
Christopher Hoot.
Christopher Huda, can you wait 1 second, please?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. So, yeah, Minnesota probably won't win either conference. I really don't know how many of you are. I don't know how many of you guys are from Minnesota. It's not about just commitment. I don't know how many of you guys are about Minnesota. Minnesota is a hockey state, and it's not just a hockey state. It is consumed by hockey. Most of our best athletes play hockey. We are not a football state. We are the least football state. We definitely are the least football state of all the Power 4 conference teams that have a team in a state. It's not even, we supply but we are not a football. So what we have to do for recruiting, again, we spend more money than almost all the other Big Ten schools on recruiting because we got to go everywhere. We're never going to have the brand of the football. I mean, Fleck has done a really good job at Minnesota. Great job. And again, most people look at Minnesota as the worst football team in the Big Ten. And yet this has been their best 8 years that they've had in 50 years. Our brand is always going to be at the bottom. Again, Minnesota sponsors a whole lot more teams in the Big 12, Stephen McNeely. We've got big bills to pay. You go to a hockey arena, you're going to get your answer. We've got to put the money in where the people are the most passionate. The football fan base, we only have like 48,000 tickets sold in our football games. And the football stadium is beautiful. It has 50,000 seat. So PJ Fleck has done a great job as the head coach. But when you go against schools that can fill up 100,000, the ticket advantage, the donation advantage, the recruiting advantage, I mean, you are the Washington Generals every time you play that football game. And if you can win any of them, it's a great moment for Minnesota. You're just not committed enough. Your university. Let me say something. You take your university and build a Division I hockey program. Go ahead and do it. LSU Tiger, Christopher Hooter, put $100 million in your LSU hockey program. Become Division I, and then you try to compete against the University of Minnesota hockey program year in, year out. You're not going to be able to do it. Sometimes you're going to beat Minnesota once in a while, but you're not going to come up here and beat us 6 times out of 10 hockey games. I don't care if it's 5 years from now or 50 years from now. That is the difference. That's the difference. I mean, some programs are so big, they're so impressive, incredible fan base. You're always going to have the advantage, and that's great. That's fine. But this whole thing about, you just don't have the commitment. You're just not, whatever. You're not, guys. If you played in the Big Ten, a lot of your Big 12 and ACC fan bases, if you played in the Big Ten, you would get hammered by the same teams we get hammered by. I'm sorry to tell you the truth, but there it is. There it is, guys. It ain't about, our program's more. Look, Kansas Jayhawk fans, Oklahoma State fans, all your fans, If you played Michigan, the Buckeyes, the Wolverines, Nittany Lions, if you played them every single year, you would get hammered by them just as much as the Gophers. That's my sermon on that. Go ahead, Christopher Hooter. The floor is yours.
Father Pfluger's homily on the Gophers.
Wait a second. Hold on, Christopher Hooter. Hold on. RT,
Yep.
How much revenue does Minnesota hockey program bring in? I'll answer you in this way, RT. Every single non-basketball, football program there is in the country, all of them. Every non-football, basketball program there is. The one non-basketball, football program that brings in the most money is the Minnesota men's hockey program. Number one in the country. And it ain't even about that. It's about, again, a lot of you don't live in Minnesota. 99% of you don't. I get it. You're not going to understand. When the athletic director makes the wrong decision on a head coach hiring on the hockey program, women's and men's, that athletic director is in so much trouble. That's where we are a different state. Go ahead, Christopher Hooter. The floor is yours.
Well, there was a time when Minnesota won a couple of football natties, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, way back before the Vikings.
Another era.
Before the Vikings dominated the state. Yep.
So LSU,
Yeah.
you know, this is the second year in a row where we've led Texas A&M at halftime, and then just been demoralized in the second half.
Yeah.
It's
that was tough.
Yeah, I know, right? Now they have a bye week, and then they got to go play Bama. Bama was fortunate to win that game. I watched that game.
Yeah, so did I. Because that game was during the Iowa-Minnesota game. So I watched most of South. They were fortunate. I don't want to. I mean, Alabama did. They showed a lot of composure. They made a lot of plays when they had to. Great strip of the fumble on Sellers.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I mean, South Carolina gave everything they had in that game. It was a very good game.
And poor Mississippi State, they lose another one they should have won. I mean, right?
Yeah.
So I really feel for the Bulldogs there and the Cowbells. But that's not really why I called. The Ohio State player that died, what was his name?
Mangold. Nick Mangold.
Yes. Of renal failure, yeah?
Huh?
Of renal failure, kidneys, yeah?
Yep.
So my son, who's now 30, will be 34, he had a kidney transplant, yeah? And it's quite the, he was on, quote, the list, you know? And there's lots of lists, right? You think there's one national list. There isn't, right? He got his at the Texas Medical Center in Houston, which is a fabulous facility.
Yeah.
And he was on, quote, the list. This was the Houston list for, 5 or 6 years, I guess. Yeah. But you know, they do have sometimes, so if the family, of course he could have had some renal condition, who knows, right? But sometimes the family may not match.
Yeah.
Or in my son's case, I was not the match. His mother was the match, and she had some health issues. Mm-hmm. So she couldn't give, and I was the different blood type.
Yeah.
So, but they actually do pools in Houston, and they'll get, you know, like I give to Greg, and Greg's wife gives to my son or something, right? Mm-hmm. And they'll get pools of people, and they might get a dozen or 20 people sometimes, and so you kind of indirectly give to a family member. So it's fascinating, I tell you. But I'm sorry to hear the guy died, right?
Yeah.
Especially if he had hope he was going to get a kidney, right? It's very stressful.
Yeah.
Very stressful. So, but other than that, I missed the games yesterday. I was pretty frustrated again on the A&M game.
Yeah. The LSU Tigers, they just can't run the football worth anything. And I don't know, why is that?
Offensive line, I guess. I actually think you got the wrong guy running the read option. He's not. You need a mobile quarterback.
You should not be running the read option with Nussmeier as a quarterback. You you can't have that type of offense. It's just.
Yeah, right. I mean, you got to have a running, or don't run that scheme, right? So I like Nussmeier, but I just think that's an awkward scheme for him. And then the offensive line just doesn't seem to be nearly as good as it's been in the past either. But you are hearing rumblings now about Kelly.
Yeah.
I did. A bunch of guys were texting me. They're all going wild. So I still think he's safe. It's $50 million, 53, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Kelly's going anywhere. But I tell you, they're getting pretty raucous down there.
Yeah.
So, anyway, man, I enjoyed the show, and
yep.
I'll leave you be. And
I
I'll keep
appreciate it,
listening.
sir.
All right, you're the man.
I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so very
Thank you.
much.
Yep. Bye.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Greg, did not Rock and Rant. Greg, did not Indiana say the same thing about football until they didn't? Yeah, they did. And but Kirk Sinetti's are not. They're. Indiana got they got a miracle shot, right? I mean, we're not going to fire PJ Fleck because we think we might find the next Kirk Sinetti. Plus, PJ Fleck had a way better career than Tom Allen had. And it's not just that. I mean, again, look, Gophers have been brutal this year. Brutal. I started this show saying they've been bad. But this, again, nine college football programs, nine of them have had a football player drafted in the first or second round the last 6 years. Eight of them are blue blood programs. The ninth one is Minnesota. That has never happened before at Minnesota. Never. Not even close. I mean, that in itself shows you that PJ... they've won 6 bowl games in a row. They beat SEC, ACC, Big 12 teams. And I don't know. PJ Fleck is undefeated in bowl. He's done a very good job. But they've got a brutal football team this year, and I'm afraid they might have a brutal team next year. We shall see. They might win 7 games. They might end up with 5 wins. I mean, they can get beat. They can get beat by anybody. Absolutely anybody. Oh, we got a Josh Pate. The last time Josh Pate did this, it ended up being nothing. So I don't know. Let me know what you think that is. Something is brewing. Is it a head coach situation? Is it a firing? We got Ross Dellinger. Breaking news, LSU administrators and university executives have held and are holding high-level discussions over the future of football coach Brian Kelly. While there is no immediate resolution, the conversations which involve the state governor are ongoing. So Brian Kelly, my goodness, get the state governor involved, help pay out that Now, I guess that is commitment that the state of Minnesota would never have for the football program. I guess that's the level of commitment. The money gap does make a difference, Stephen McNeely. Absolutely. Absolutely. It does. It does. It makes a difference. But Florida State is worried about the money versus Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, and Ohio State. They're not worried about Minnesota. Not worried about Minnesota. Again, I'm not sure if something is being lost in translation here. But if you are Ohio, if you are a lot of these programs, even Baylor, even TCU, even you throw a stick, you're going to hit a 4-star, 5-star high school player. You throw a stick in Minnesota, you're hitting a hockey player. You're not hitting a football player. You're not hitting a football player. I'm not sure people realize. Anyways, Indiana has a whole lot better football recruiting ground than Minnesota. Not even close. All right, guys, we are going to shut it down here. If you are new to the program, please subscribe to the program. Turn on those notifications. I appreciate it so very much. I want to thank Ryan Willie, Kenneth Maynard, MBM, John Teal, Ricky Tungate, and Helmer Hennison for your donations to help us keep the lights on. I very much appreciate your support to help us grow the channel. We are going to keep an eye on the Brian Kelly situation. We'll come on live if there's any big breaking news. Yeah, we've been on the air for 2 hours, so we are going to shut it down. Sorry, John Grove. Next time. Yeah, we got to go off the air. I've got caretaking duties. I've got 3 different jobs. 3 different jobs, ladies and gentlemen. But I'll try to come on live later on tonight if there's any breaking news. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, and yes, those goals.